Morning crew, welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel and the next episode in the International 434 tractor steering box rebuild. Try saying that when you're drunk. Okay, now Simon Roll, good friend of mine over in the UK, a regular contributor to the channel and obviously a regular viewer as well, has reached out and said, hey Andy, watch the first video on this. And I agree, we need to go for taper roller bearings, much better option, and that's what I want to do. And what we have to do now, given the fact that the original bearing races, the inner races, are integral to the worm drive shaft, the steering shaft, and they're knackered, completely knackered, so that we can't replace them individually because they're cast into the shaft. So we have to get them machined off, ground away, and install these new, much more heavy duty bearings. But before we can do that, we need to do some measurements. So got to take it apart again. It's here on the bench looking at me, covered in grease. Oh well, gloves on. Roll the intro. Used.
You don't paint something without warming.
Honestly. Oh, it's cold this morning. It really is. Right. Oh, the good news is as well, Dinesh has, where are they? Hang on. We've got the proper bolts. Dinesh found those, so that's good, because there are weird threads. So when we come to rebuild it next, we won't need this little temporary plate that I made to get us, you know, to hold the whole thing together. Right, is that one going to turn? Oh, hang on, right, we're in luck. We are in luck. Look at that. Only just. Right, this can all go back into stock. That can come off. Lovely jubbly, like that. That's the little O-ring that I put in there just to help push that that spacer down. Pretty well squashed now. That can go in the bin. And can we retrieve that now? I think there's just enough space, maybe. Yes, there we go, look. Okay, so this should now allow us to remove the sector shaft, as it's called. So we'll have that out. Here we go. Lovely. I'll stick it on there. And now we can remove the main shaft. There's going to be ball bearings all over the place, so get ready. Oh, look at that. The bearing at the top stayed together. Who would have thought? Okay, let's get that slapped down on the bench. Now, ball bearings, magnets, that's what we need for those. Dum, 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 dum. In we go. Oh, yes, all the ball bearings in one hit by the looks of it. It's pretty good going. Never to be used again. Brand new. I'm sure we'll find a home for them somewhere. So I think first job is we need to extract the outer race of the lower bearing. That's here in the casting. Now it's going to be immense amounts of fun getting that out of there because obviously it's a blind hole and it doesn't feel like... Oh, there is there. Okay, have they given us enough overhang to get a puller on? I think I'll get all that grease cleaned out and we'll take a better look. That was very Yorkshire, wasn't it? Bitter. Right, don't get any on the lens, Andy. Probably impossible. Probably did get you. Apologies. Apologies, Fern. That's a bit better, isn't it? The other option is I have to just weld a piece of metal across from one side of the bearing to the other to give us something to hook onto to get it pulled out. We get a pick. Okay, we've got a bent pick. That's about as good as it gets at the moment. Okay, so yes, we do have a bit of a lip there. And we have quite a big lip around this side, which is good. Well, this is a bit, but there's bugger all lip on that side. There's a little bit of a lip there. Okay, let me have a rummage around, see what I can come up with. This will be fun. Well, this is not going to be pretty. I wish I had a slightly smaller puller, but it's extremely tight down there. I'll just turn the torch on for you. There you go. Yes, and it's such a small bearing that I can't get the collar at the top over the three little arms to hold them out. So I've just wedged a screwdriver in, and we have the slide hammer all plumbed up, but it's very, very tight. So I'll stick it in the tripod. This is attempt number 1. Let's see what happens. Oh God, I don't know. Maybe you can go a bit closer actually. Bring it in down there, look, and then you can actually see everything fall off and the bearing not come out. How's that? Okay, here goes. What have we got? Oh, it worked! Holy crap! Right, away for another day. Done. Gotcha. I really wasn't expecting it to be that easy. It was pretty sketchy what we were doing, and there wasn't a lot of clearance either, but hey, it worked. That's all that matters. Right, let's get the top bearings stripped down, all the ball bearings put away, and then we can measure the outside diameter of the two outer races, because that's the critical point. The inside diameter, well, that's of the replacement bearings. Well, that's whatever we decide it to be. We've got a bit of leeway on that because we're going to be grinding the shaft. Sorry, we're going to get the shaft ground. I can't do that here. So let's crack on, because Ben's on his way. Oakley dokley. Right, spacer, which we'll probably still need to use later on. We'll get rid of that. There we go, one spacer, and this is the top bearing outer race, covered in grease as always. So I don't want to mix up the top and the bottom for now, but they're probably going to be the same. So that there is the top outer race, and that is the bottom outer race that we just extracted with the puller. Now we've also got lots and lots of ball bearings in here, which it's never going to be a tidy job, is it? Because we've filled the whole thing with grease. Ooh. Okay, any more? Yes, 2 more. Get rid of those, and we'll chuck them in a little cup with some degreasant and stuff, and then we'll get all the grease off there. Right, so this is the shaft that I need to clean up, get rid of all the grease, and then we're going to get the ends, this area here, ground down, and this area here ground down, to take those taper roller bearings that we're going to use. Because, like I said during the intro, this race here, covered in grease, geez, spanners, stuff. This race here is actually part of the shaft, as is the inner race here as well. We can't do anything with those, unfortunately, other than wipe a bit of grease off them. There you go, look, we looked on the microscope camera and we could see quite clearly it's all one piece. You can just tell when you look at it, to be honest. So we have no option, because we can't get a new one of these. They're not available anymore. Bugger. Right, let's just chuck all these in there. This is a bit of brake cleaner, and they can be busy, oh God, sorting themselves out and degreasing themselves. These are all just going to go back in the bag, and then they'll end up with a different job, I'm sure. We're not going to waste them, because Dinesh bought all these new. But we needed them really as the demo to see, you know, so we could do the temporary test assemble to see just how bad it was, and you know, clearly it was atrocious. But it's always good to build it up as it should do originally, and then you've got a sort of a starting point, so to speak. Way nearly there. I know you're all bored. Are you counting them? I wasn't counting them. I'm pretty sure that's all of them. Right. Give them a little shake. Oh, that's the best way of cleaning off all the grease on ball bearings, is just chuck it in an old cup. Make sure that the lid, this is the lid of an aerosol can. In fact, the aerosol can that we use for the brake cleaner. But some of them have a little tiny hole in them, so if you're going to be using it for this, make sure there's no hole in the lid, otherwise you'll get covered in, look at that, pretty good. Right, I'll stick that over there, that'll end back in the bag when we're finished. Next job is these two races. So the first thing I'm going to do, once I've cleaned the grease off, is I'm going to label them up upper and lower, just so we don't mix them up for whatever reason, because they might be different sizes, we don't know yet. And by replacing the bearings with taper rollers, you know, we don't need to worry about trying to source new bearings through International Harvester, because from what I understand is they seem to be pretty hard to get hold of, with it, given the age of the machine. Right, that'll do for that one. This is the preliminary clean. It always gets a bit more of a clean off camera. There we go. Nice. It's in a bad way, is that one. Okay. Time for some measurements. Okie dokie. Right, that's the upper one. So we'll just write on there. Up. Just so we know. This is the lower one. So, I don't know. Bottom. So we'll put a B for base. B for base will work. Right. So, with my little scriber, my little pig, I'll have a quick look just to see how bad this really was. And the lower one actually looks not too bad at all. You can hear on the pick it's not really picking up on any major imperfections. There is, however, a couple of places around the perimeter here where we've got a big chunk missing here, a chip, and we've got another minor chip here. So I think this is where the ball bearings originally popped out, you know, when it sort of started to fail and all that additional travel started, because the ball bearings had disappeared, basically. Yeah. And the upper one, obviously it's not immersed in the oil all the time, it's just relying on probably splash lubrication really over time. Any grease that was put there during the build will have gone. This one is, we didn't look at this actually under the microscope camera, but it is extremely pitted. You can see where the balls normally run, around this sort of central area here, the polished area, but even in there it's not great, but there's a lot of corrosion either side of it here, look. And yeah, another big chunk missing under there. So interesting stuff, good to have a look. They do look the same on initial appearance, but let's just take a measurement now. These obviously, given their age, will not be metric. There'll be some weird imperial size. However, I'm going to we'll just reset that. Hang on, we'll just reset it first. There we go. We'll put it in imperial, and we're in thousandths of an inch. So, what does it give us? They're all out on the bikes today. Well, is that really a size? 1.8730. So 1 inch and 873 thousandths of an inch. So if we go into metric on that, 47.57. That's going to be a weird size to get, isn't it? So this is the upper. I'm just going to write all this down. So the upper bearing, outer diameter, which is all we're bothered about, is in millimeters, is 47.57 millimeters, and just for reference, we'll just stick it back into inches again. It's 1.8730 inches. Okay, let's see what the other one is. So we'll pull him out. We'll just reset our Right, we'll do inches first again. So that's the upper. This is the lower. This is the one we had to extract with the puller. Oh, exactly the same. Look at that. Okay. So, 1.8750. That's interesting. Let me just remeasure that other one again. So we'll go back to 0. See, we're always slightly out. There's always a bit of a discrepancy. We'll 0 that. Let's just try that one again. This is the upper. Yeah, 1.8730. And the lower. Oh, it's changed completely now. 1.8720. So only a very slight difference. Okay, so upper, done. The lower, we'll just reset it again. See, look, huge discrepancy again on there. That would make the difference, wouldn't it? So in inches. Oh, wow, different again. What's going on? That can't be right. This is a really accurate tool. It's never played up before. Very strange. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. We will work this out. This is the only way I can measure it, so it's going to be... Right, 18755 for that one. So the lower... Give or take, right? Give or take. 1.8755 inches. And what is it in millimeters then? That's my language, millimeters. 47.63. Oh man, there's hardly anything in it. There's only 0.06 of a millimeter difference. So I would suggest that they are both the same. And they certainly feel both the same. This one, no, both got the same kind of chamfer at the back. So I think they're the same part number, to be honest. But we now have a measurement. So we need to find some taper roller bearings with that outside diameter. That's the critical part. We can make the shaft suit. We've got a bit of leeway on that. So I think, looking at these figures, and I'm just going to work on the metric side because that's how I operate basically. We're 0.03 millimeters smaller. There's 0.06 millimeters difference between the two different sizes we've measured. So if we take the average of that, we're going to get 47.60 millimeters. Will that be okay? I think it will. I mean, the critical one, the one that's actually pressed in, is the bottom one, isn't it? So let me just remeasure that one again now and see what we end up with that. Okay, we are zeroed. It may be out around 47.56 that was, wasn't it? 56, 57, 56. Let's just do another one. We'll do an average. Take a few sample tests, a few sample readings. See, 47.65. 59. Five, 6. You see, I think maybe we'll go with the top one in actual fact. 47.57. Let's go with that. That seems to be the reading. It's only a tiny amount different. Okay, let's have a little mooch online and see what we can come up with. Bearingsdirect.com, they should be able to do it for us. We can get them locally, I just need to know what size to get. Light duty taper roller bearings, light medium duty taper rollers, HM heavy duty. What do we go for really? I don't know. Oh, it's all in weird sizes. I want metric. Give me metric. I need to work out what that size is there. Right, I need to do some calculations. Okay, let's just open another window. Still got internet? Yes, right. Inch to decimal. Engineering toolbox. Okay, hopefully you can see this. We'll zoom it in a bit for you. Okay, so we've got down here the decimal in millimeters. Okay, so we've got 0.5, so 0.57. Hang on, I wanted that to be in, can I change that? Yes, okay. So we're now, decimal, the inch decimal, like we saw on the verniers, when we're in inches mode, is in black, and the millimeter equivalent is in the blue. So we're going to be looking at the black to start off with. So the measurement was 1.8730 for the topper one and 1.8755 for the lower. So we're looking for something between 0.8730 and 0.8755. So, there, look. 0.875 is 7/8. So that would mean it's an inch and 7/8. Okay, so let's just double check that. So we'll do another window. Inch to millimeters. Right, so 1 inch, so it was 1 inch. How the hell have we got 7/8 in there? 7/8. Jeez. Oh, God. Inch. I can't put it in, can I? We've got a 7/8 on there, converter. Hang on, maybe we'll just put it straight in. 1 space 7/8 inch in millimeters. That's what I want, isn't it? 47.625. 47 point. Perfect. Okay, so we got on some of our measurements. Cowboy cut out 47.6, and 40% 625 is inch and 7/8. 1.875. Yes, and we also got 1.87, 1.875, 1.873. So I think it's an inch and 7/8 bearing. OD. That's what I reckon. We'll find out, won't we? Now, I know some of you are laughing your heads off at the moment, but I just never work in inches. I'm just not familiar with the scales. I know I'm an Englishman, and I should be. It should be in my genes to do that. But I grew up in a decimal era, so it's all weird, fangled stuff to me. But I think we've worked it out. The outer race diameter looks to me like it's an inch and 7/8. It's going to be something set. They're not going to have made a very specific oddball bearing just for that steering box. So inch and 7/8 OD, which is the equivalent of 47.625 millimeters in my world. Now, last but not least, we need to measure the shaft and work out what the ID can be. It has got some flexibility because we're going to be grinding the shaft, but we need to have an idea of what sort of area we're looking at, what range we're looking at, so then we can go online and try and find a bearing that's got the right OD, 47.625, and an ID that we can work with. Once we've done that, then we get a bearing number, and then we order the bearings. Easy, right? Easier said than done sometimes. Okay, let's have a look at the steering column and do some measurements on that. Now, what I did notice on the steering column shaft is, if you run your finger down it, look at that photography, there's a little lump here. And this is a larger diameter than the shaft itself. So I think, obviously, because the bearing has got to pass over that lump, some kind of casting thingamajig going on there, we could chuck it in the lathe, we could machine that bit off. I don't imagine that this part of the shaft is hardened. They'll have only hardened the worm drive and the bearing area, but if we can get a bearing that's going to slide over that, and we can machine this area here to a larger ID than that, then we should be, or a larger diameter than that, then of course the bearing will slot down and we can press it into place down here. That's the plan. So what diameter is that? Right, verniers, which have never let me down before, to be honest. Let's just swing that around a bit for you. Okay, we are zeroed. We are zeroed again. I think it's a bit of swarf that's on there, to be fair, but anyway, it's all good. It's near enough. So for this one, okay, so 22.81. So we obviously need a little tiny bit of clear. Oh, 22.85. So if we've got for 23 millimeters ID as the minimum, we should be good. So the question is, can we find taper roller bearings which have got something like an inch, and so hang on, let's find out what 23, because obviously we're going to be going for inch bearings, right? Our imperial bearings. So if we go back on here, 23 millimeters is the minimum size. So I think, see, it's a 7/8 is 22.2, and that's too small. That's in millimeters, don't forget, you see. In here, look. So 23.8, 15/16, that would work. What if we go 30 seconds? Could be expensive. 23. Ben's here! Woohoo! 23, which is exactly what we want. So 29/32. I'm going to write that down. Or 29/32 of an inch for the ID. Geez, this will be fun. Right, I'm just mooching around their website at the moment. It seems that I've got all sorts of things coming up, but outer diameter, we've got like a list down here which we can go on. So we need an outer diameter of 1 inch and 7/8. Bingo, 1 inch and 7/8. Okay, can we also choose inner diameter? Yes, we can. Outer diameter, done that. I want inner diameter. Inner diameter. Is that it? Inner diameter, I want 29/32, which isn't there, is it? It's not that easy. Okay, so what have we got? It's got all sorts of bearings on there. We want taper rollers. That's no good. That's no good. Okay, hang on. Taper roller bearings. Roller bearings? Cage needle, taper roller bearings, bingo. Okay, we're getting there slowly, aren't we? Never been on this site before, so right, metric and inch size taper roller bearings. I think this is over before, isn't it? Okay, we just got to go through it. So 1 inch and 1/8. No, we want 1 inch and 7/8. Inch and 7/8, 3/4. Oh, they're all mixed up. What the hell? This could take some time, people. So I'm going to search around and we'll turn the recorder back on once I've found something. Or not. God damn it! I've gone through the whole Bearing Direct website, bearingdirect.com, not a sponsor of the channel. Cannot find anything. When I look on the metric side, there's nothing anywhere close. So I've got to look on the imperial side. It may be that we might end up using a cone, the outer race of an imperial bearing combined with the inner race of a metric. Don't want to do that. I came across a trailer a few years ago like that. Absolute ball ache and very expensive to replace the bearings. I think because the inner diameter is, this point in time, variable, as long as it's larger than what is it, 29 32ths or 23 millimeters, then obviously we can stick with imperial outside diameter and inside diameter. But I can't find anything on their website that's going to work. So more searching required. I'll message Simon over in the UK and see if he can find something over there that's going to work. I'll flick through to Dinesh the measurements as well, see if he can find something. I'm a pretty busy chap, so really it's down to Dinesh now to find the bearings that we need. He can do the groundwork, and hopefully in the next video we will have what we need bearing wise, and the shaft will be ground, so we can put it all back together, see if it works. Okay crew, well hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not click on the subscribe button, ring the bell, and YouTube will send you notifications as and when I upload any new videos. And there's over 800 videos on this channel, and that way you won't miss the final conclusion in the International 434 steering box rebuild saga, as it's turning out to be. Quite a modification that we're doing, but one that will guarantee that this steering box will definitely outlive the rest of the tractor. Now you'll also find me on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Feel free to communicate through any of those portals. You'll also you can email me, andymechanic@live.co.uk. That's live.co.uk, and I'll do my very best to get back to you.
So Andy, how can viewers support the channel?
Now, if you want to support the channel, and many do, and it's most appreciated, you can do that as a patron through the Patreon website, and there's a link to Patreon on the home page of the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel in the banner at the top, little tiny icon. I think it's also in the description of the video as well. Or you can jump onto PayPal and you can send a few bucks through that portal as well, and just send it to andymechanic@live.co.uk. Don't do it as a donation, because they only allow donations now to registered charities. I'm not a registered charity. I'm just a guy that makes YouTube videos and spends lots of money doing it. So just send it to that email address and just say you've bought something. I don't know, maybe a bit of air in the workshop. You know, whatever you need to do, make it work. And if you do, thank you very much. Okay, crew. Well, until next time. Cheers. Over and out.
And we get the flip up again.
Oh!
Really.